I am fourth council member is going to be coming in, so I'll start the recording.
Good evening, Tim.
Hey, good evening, Danny. Team, what's going on? How's everybody?
Healthy.
I got this thing on my lap right now. He doesn't want to go away.
Evening, Gail.
Good evening.
I told Jim this on Saturday when he stopped by my castle here, and he's seen what the front of my yard looks like.
Uh-oh.
So I am forewarning everybody. I don't want to hear one council member complain about the infrastructure project in this village, because yours truly is being completely impacted by this.
I'm sure
Jim pulled, well, they parked everything in front of my yard. I got a Conex box. I've got everything here. So my wife even said, do they really hate you that much in the village?
Yeah, maybe they're trying to tell you something, Carl.
Can you get out?
Barely.
Yeah.
Good evening, Michelle.
I'm sorry, I was having a bad internet connection. I didn't hear the majority of
Yeah,
that.
sure you were. We're not
You can
believing
play
that.
it back. You can play it back on.
Yeah.
Good evening, Danny.
For
Good evening, Michelle.
for the record, the village did not select where they were dumping very large semi-looking toolboxes.
Or mountains of dirt, or buckets, or front end loaders.
Carl, they did ask my opinion, and I told them right there on East Prairie Street would be perfect. So
I felt your love. I did.
He said he wouldn't mind.
yeah,
Yeah, Carl won't care.
nah.
I can tell you every day coming home is a new adventure, because I have to take a different route every day.
I'll bet. Hey, Ryan, how's your yard?
It's getting there, Gail. Thank you.
But I'm letting everybody know this will be coming to your neighborhood soon. So
Not in mine.
Not mine. No.
Not in mine.
You always choose the path of least resistance. Path than a council member.
That's right.
Well, just think, if he wasn't on the council, he couldn't complain to the whole world.
You just have to join the meeting.
Well, at least all of Vicksburg. So, yeah.
I'm
Come on,
just,
Denny, that is the whole world.
Yes. Yeah.
There
That's
you
the
go.
universe. Yes.
way to go, Ryan.
We are
I'm
the
just
center
showing-
of the universe.
I'm just showing proof to all our constituents or all our citizens out there that we get no special treatment.
That's the truth. And we shouldn't.
No,
Klondike bar every now and then, not so bad.
How's your new job, Ryan?
Going well, thank you, Gail.
Good. Saw your name in the paper.
Oh yeah, good news, I hope.
Oh, it's just an ad. And you were at the downtown office.
That is me.
Yep. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Gail. How are you?
Great. Hope you are too.
Yeah, busy, but great.
I'll bet you are. Keeping all those construction people in line, huh?
Oh, God. We spend a couple hours a day with those people every day.
Can imagine.
Randy, what's the word on the wood chipper?
Hold, whoop, just a second here, just a
Oh.
second. Let's let
Okay.
this meeting start.
Getting close.
1 minute.
Yeah, Julie's just coming in. We have 4 people on the call, 3 people on the call.
Julie's on New Orleans time now. I think,
Oh my
anyway.
gosh.
Is she still down there?
Pretty gardening just a minute ago.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're on a fishing boat or not, Julie. You look like you're always got like something in the background, like right there. It looks like you're out fishing right now.
My thing's glitchy tonight. I can
Uh-oh. Yep, you're cutting out.
tell.
That's okay. The view from your apartment is great and you need more food in your refrigerator. But besides that, it's all good, Julie.
All right, so it is 7 o'clock. We'll get call to order the Village Council regular session meeting for tonight, Monday, May 3rd, 2021. And we are still meeting via Zoom platform. Mr. Mallory said, I think we have 3 other attendees other than the council and staff. And we'll take a minute when Jim gets a flag up and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I just gotta get to a different screen here. I know it's, let me find it. I have it. Give me 1 second. Where did it go? I just got to get it, Tim. All right, I should. What? Sorry about that. I've got 2 different screens. I gotta find you guys again.
Success.
All right.
All right. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
To the
flag
flag
of the United States of
of
America
America.
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
stands,
stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Okay, next time we won't read what's on the screen.
Good idea.
Going by heart.
Good idea.
I assure you, I know that, but. So we'll take a moment of silence and then, Mr. Mallory, when you're ready, if you do roll call, please.
Certainly. Okay, roll call for May 3rd, 2021 Village Council. If you are not in the village of Vicksburg, please let us know. Otherwise, if you do not say, we will take it at your home address in the village of Vicksburg. Trustee Olson.
Yes.
Trustee Reister.
Here.
Trustee Holmes.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Here.
Trustee Merrill.
Out of town in Louisiana, New Orleans.
Out of town in Louisiana, specifically New Orleans. President Pro Temp Keller.
Here.
President Frisbee.
Here. So everyone's in attendance can job tonight. Thank you. Thank you for being on, Julie. We have in front of us an agenda that everyone's had an opportunity. Excuse me? All right. We have an agenda in front of us. Everyone had an opportunity to review it. Mr. Mallory, is there any additions or changes to it?
No, sir, not from staff.
Can entertain if there's any other subject we should put on, or if I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank.
Reister?
Second by Trustee Holmes.
Trustee Reister has made the motion to support, to approve the agenda with trustee Holmes supporting. Hearing no other conversation, a roll call vote. Trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
trustee Merrill,
Yes.
trustee Reister,
Yes.
trustee Holmes,
Yes.
President Pro Temp Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. Do we have an agenda? I see there's no scheduled appearances or public official appearances. Is there anyone on the phone, Jim, that you would like to bring in for?
I do believe Mr. Gisler, our county commissioner for South County, is on the call. I don't know if he wishes to speak, John. If you do, if you can electronically raise your hand by hitting the, and he has. So let me see if I can bring him in here to speak. Should be coming in as a,
So John
Gonna have
needs
to-
a-
There you
Gonna
go.
have to unmute. You'd think by now I'd know it, wouldn't you? Thank you very much. I have three, hopefully very short items. One, we kicked the can down the road one more meeting before we're gonna, I think, hopefully sell Bronson Park to the city for $1. It was given to the county by Titus Bronson in his will before there even was a city. And that's why it is a county property, but the city has leased it for $1 a year forever. And they do all the maintenance, they do all the repairs, they really take care of it. It's just that we get it, you know, it's ours and we get $1 for it. We think that's gonna happen. It should have happened already, but it didn't happen at the last meeting. We had a few folks that were concerned about this, that, and the other thing. And I would just as soon see it happen sooner because of the liability. We would be one of the big pockets on the suit if anybody had an accident or now that they allow alcohol in the park, you know, who's to say somebody isn't running around drinking lots of beer cans and then they get in a car and go hit a school bus or something. So I'm hopeful this is going to finally take place. We'll have to see. I know many of you, not many possibly, but a couple of you have really followed this Prairie View Park situation, the cottage that's been there since 1960 something. And that was the last thing in that. And it's still going to be, I'm sure, litigated and still under the different courts. But right now, the last thing that happened was the probate court in Kent County said the county was right, that going back to the 1963 original document, the original contract, it should be ours. We should have the first right of offering an assessed, a proper market value for the property. And if something gets in the way of that, we can proceed to force that by issuing condemnation orders. And that doesn't mean that it gets condemned and then we take it for nothing. It's always going to be a market value kind of thing. But the court decision in Kent County's probate court was a significant thing for the county. But some of the folks that were descendants of the original people that that signed the 63 contract are still going to pursue it. I'm sure they're just, they really aren't going to take no for an answer until they decide to quit paying their attorney. The other thing I've mentioned, I think already before, and that is that anybody that has not received their vaccination and is interested, there is a national website put together by somebody in Boston, one of the big hospitals, I think. And it's got the CDC's endorsement and also Johns Hopkins. And it's a website called vaccinefinder.org. I checked out local vaccinefinder.org establishments, and they were virtually all retail pharmacies. I don't know if Fred's was on there, Might be. I didn't look, but
I know they are giving vaccines.
are they? Okay. I think there's enough vaccine that everybody that wants one should be getting it. And this is sort of like a court of last resort. If you don't know where to go to this website and they will do something. And they're probably I hope there's not too many people in South County that want to get vaccinated that haven't been vaccinated. If you hear about anybody that's in that situation, give me an email or a text or something, and I'll try to get them steered to the right place. There are some folks that just are real reluctant to get involved in this kind of thing. They mostly are seniors, and we want to make sure we take good care of the seniors. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the information. Appreciate you being there, being here tonight. We have an approval of a general consent agenda or minutes from our April 19th meeting, total warrant report.
President Frisbee, I apologize for
Sure.
interrupting. May I ask Mr. Gisler a question? John, are you still there? Is that okay?
I'm here.
Absolutely.
John, I was wondering if you may have an update on the downtown event center. There's an article last month about Hard Rock Hotels buying the Gibson building on the north side and putting a hotel in there. If anybody's been in that neighborhood, not really a high rent district. So obviously some people are believing that that event center is coming to downtown Kalamazoo more than others. And I'm just curious, if there's been any more talk about moving on that Michigan law that allows Kalamazoo to capture those new tax dollars?
No, but I noticed the same article, and I kind of tried to catch the picture of that neighborhood in my mind, and I feel the same way you do about it, Rick. The building right behind the county building, which is now, I guess it's open for business as a Hilton Garden Suites, that's close enough into downtown. I think one of the arrangements that was spoken of, if not signed or anything, was that frequently the Kalamazoo Center, the Radisson, excuse me, has more people attending a meeting from out of town than they have rooms to accommodate those people overnight. And so this Hilton going up right just to the south of the county building probably is going to help. I don't know how big it is. I think it's, fairly small, 6 floors and I don't know, 180 or 200 rooms, but that will make a difference. But the Gibson property is, that's kind of far out. On the other hand, they could certainly run a shuttle van in and out and that sort of thing. But I have not heard anything, Rick, about the arena.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, that was a good question, Rick. So we have minutes, warrant reports. We got Gary.
We have
President
citizen
Frisbee,
comments.
Citizen time.
Comments.
Oh, yes.
Don't want to forget those.
Would you ask if there's any citizens that would like to speak?
Correct. We have 3 citizens on, all appear to be on computers. If you wave the cursor over the screen, you'll see on the bottom a hand symbol with raised hands underneath it. If you would like to speak to the council, if you could electronically hit that, we'll give you 20 to 30 seconds. All 3 individuals and confident know how to hit that button. So go ahead and give it another 10, 12 seconds here. Again, just move the cursor on your screen. If by chance I'm misreading one of you and you're calling in by phone, you can hit *9 to raise your hand. I do not see any of the 3 citizens raising their hand, Mr. Frisbee.
Okay, now we can get to the approval of last month's meeting, warrant reports. We got Gary Hamel Memorial Service request, Allison Naster graduation request, and there was no correspondence. So I trust everyone's had an opportunity to review. Is there any corrections or additions that we need to make to the minutes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Trustee Keller, so moved.
Trustee Wagner, I'll support.
Trustee Keller makes a motion to approve the general consent with support from trustee Wagner. Hearing no further conversation, a roll call vote. Trustee Holmes,
Yes.
trustee Reister,
Yes.
trustee Olson,
Yes,
trustee Merrill,
Yes.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
President Pro Temp Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. So the consent agenda has been approved. We have village council action items in front of us. We have several tonight. Gonna have hopefully some good discussion on these. Jim, you have our village fund balance policy. I'm assume this is a new policy that we've,
It'll be, yes, and we've talked in each budgetary cycle as well as in audit presentations about our fund balance. And we felt it was progressive to develop a fund balance policy supported by the council. As in all policies, future councils certainly can adapt or modify due to conditions that might be presented in front of them. But we felt to have a formal policy, again, citing back to 2018 when we listed out, or it might have been 2019, to become a best practice municipality. This was one of the policies that we certainly wanted updated and current to what our fiscal climate is now in the village. So it does, you'll hear from the auditors, 17% is the minimum standard for a fund balance. It's staff's recommendation with the fiscal situation that the village is in. And as we projected out over the next 5 years, that for the village sake, that 25% would be a good number, not to move under, as well as other details contained in the documents sent out to the council. Maybe if I can offer if there's specific questions on the policy, I'll be happy to answer them. Staff is recommending council support and approval, and will implement this policy beginning tomorrow morning.
I read through it. I was in agreement with it. I did find a couple of just some grammar issues in it. Under the scope, we call the Angels Crossing Golf Course. I think it should be course. And there's a couple others. I don't know if you want me to get into these now or just
If you
send me a
want,
note.
if it's grammar, if you just want to send me an email.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's all it is. I'm fine with the wording. It reads
Was-
well.
I was happy with it too, because it really did help me to understand. I'm not, on top of things as far as finance and so forth. So this was very helpful for me. So I appreciated it. Thank you.
Jim, I do have one question.
Yes.
For the types of funds, do we have any permanent funds currently established in our budget?
What is your definition of permanent?
What is it? Third page, number 5. Type of account used for only earnings, not principal, to be used for programs and purposes.
Not currently, but it would be available to the village if they were to implement it.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
one question, and this may have been raised before, I just can't remember we discussed it, but under the heading of social district financing, so the village will be selling the social district cups to the establishments, is that correct?
Are you in the policy?
Yes.
He's in the social district.
Am I ahead of us? Am I getting
Yeah,
ahead of
you're
us?
ahead, you're ahead of us.
Just,
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. My bad.
It's okay.
it makes me feel better. I
Yeah,
know
it got me a little bit nervous
reading
too.
is an art, I can read it, but to understand it sometimes it's
I had my papers mixed up. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hey, Jim, have you had not whether it's necessary or not, but have you had the village attorney just kind of go over the legalese of this?
We, not specific on the policy, but I did have, representatives from Siegfried Crandall, our financial advisory firm, and who does a multitude of governmental auditing, have input on it.
If there's no other questions or comments, discussion, entertain a motion.
Trustee Keller, so moved.
Is there support?
Trustee Reister, support.
Trustee Keller makes the motion to approve the fund balance policy. To the substance written, there will be some grammatical changes. Trustee Reister with the support. Hearing no other conversation, a roll call vote. Trustee Olson,
Yes.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Holmes,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Merrill,
You don't think she's hearing you?
Trustee Merrill,
Yes.
President Pro Temp Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. So we have an updated fund balance policy. The next was the CDAR, the investment program.
Yeah, I'll have Michelle explain this. The one item to know, really the request, because a new rate sheet came out today listing some higher interest rates, and Michelle will explain, but really our request tonight is for the council to approve staff entering a CDARS program, and then we will find the highest interest rate for the village within the program, to move forward, and then bring that information back to the council. So I'll turn over to Michelle Morgan, then we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jim. So a couple council meetings ago, we talked about our current investing, which is normally through traditional CDs, and our desire to move to something that's a little bit safer and protected for our money. And so we introduced the CDARS program, and going back where it was about I think it was again 3 meetings ago. CDARS is a certificate of deposit account registry service where the bank that we work with will then invest our money below the FDIC $250,000 so that it stays insured, and they will do that service for us. And I think you might recall that from before. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
These CDAR programs are with several different banks, correct?
They are. What our intent is to use one bank, and then the service itself actually goes out and invests in multiple other banks
Right.
for us.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So as Jim mentioned, we're looking for an approval to move forward. This type of a program, a CDARS program, and we will get the best interest rate we can, and then come back to the council and indicate who that would be.
Okay, so we're not really voting on a particular bank that we're going to be using. We're just voting on doing this CDARS program, correct?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
That's correct, Gil.
The only thing I would add and highlight is that it's going to protect the village's money. at a higher level than just us, than what we have currently done. And with our planning and the capital improvement plans and forecasting out 5 years and even 10 years on some items, saving prior to the needs, we feel it's prudent to have the village's money protected to the highest level we can.
I think it's an excellent idea.
Jim, the funds that we're going to put in it, is it general funds? Are they restricted funds? Are they allocated funds for our capital investment, or a combination of all?
It's a combination, and how we'll invest it is also, as we track out, our goal would be to invest $200,000 a month for the next 12 months. We'll never need the funds that we're investing in that fiscal year as we lay it out on paper. In the event of an extreme, unforeseen, in some aspects not worth the time of hypotheticals, we could pull that money out if with a penalty affixed. But as we've charted out the finances, it would be money that's invested that we would not need in the fiscal year, thus earning a tick higher bit of an interest rate, as well as that added protection.
And then this would, each one of these would be for 1 year. Is that what you're doing? You're doing the CDAR for 1 year, and then and looking at it at the end of the year and then reinvesting again?
Correct. There will be, as we tracked out right now, and we're under policy of council action by a commitment level to use for, like, the example of Village Hall, which we're saving cash for. So as we go into a fiscal year that I would predict is 2023, with cash on hand to begin that project, then we would be looking at the evaluation of when some of that money might be needed, and I stress might be needed in that fiscal year. But yes, specific to your question, 1 year in length, and it'll be reevaluated. And as I sit right now, I think especially these first 6 would be renewed. But we'll each time we do that, we'll come in front of the council and let you know and how it fits within the financial structure that we have going.
So this is going to be more of a rolling deal, because you said every month you're going to invest 200,000.
Correct.
So it'll, within a year from now, you'll start having touring, and then there'll be.
Yeah, with the second year, there is the probability that 200,000 will be moved up to 250,000, depending upon what the insured level is within that fiscal year. So I think, again, for the next 24 months, for the next 12 months, there'll be a CD each month, and I would predict a high probability that each of those CDs would be renewed for the first time. Then going into the third year, again, variables of 2 fiscal years, how much did we come expenses under revenues, impacted by other societal stuff. But I really appreciate the work that Michelle's done on this, and it really is moving the village to the next level.
Yeah, I want to make sure to point out that it's incredibly effective what Jim and Michelle are putting out, because by rolling them every month for 12 months, it not only allows us to have that CD coming mature to use those funds if necessary, but it also takes advantage of interest rates at that time. So it really helps to stagger the interest rate and, either increase or average out that return that the village is getting on those funds. So it's not like locking into a year and then you're stuck. It's every month you've got an opportunity, if we're renewing those CDs, to get that month's interest rate, which typically they'll come out monthly. So it puts us in a really good position to take advantage of those new and rising interest rates if that's what happens in the rate environment. So that's one of those other added benefits.
Yeah, to give an example, I think the last rate sheet had interest rates right about, help me out, Michelle, I think 0.01. And 30 days, 45 days later, when we look today, some are at 0.014. So there's movement in a positive direction, and Ryan's what he stated is exactly correct. In each month, we'll make sure that those rates are shopped. And quite often what we've seen is with the money that we're talking, the institution we might select to use could quite often just match what the highest rate is. But of course, we'll advise the council
Will,
when those
will
moves are
Michelle
made.
will Michelle be watching that? In other words, is she the one that's going to be watching it monthly? Who's going to be doing that work?
She watches the rates she's networked in with the treasurers and they send rates, but so yes, she will be, and I'll let her have a few words since she's carrying that burden on her shoulders.
Yeah.
Yes, Gail. I usually get rate sheets every Monday.
Okay.
So I do keep track and I've done that with the CDs so far that we've been investing. So I'll continue to do that and work with Jim. Jim's the final, okay, to invest and, when we actually go forward, but I do present all of the information.
Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I did want to point out another benefit that with the Cedars program, like Jim had said, we could increase that principal balance if there's extra general fund or other revenues around. And it's not limited to that 250,000 because in that Cedars network, they shop it out. So they make sure that it's covered regardless of if we've got a, $500,000 CD or $1 million CD for a year. They make sure that it's still fully protected and we get the rate that they offer. So it can help fluctuate there without that traditional burden of having to go to one bank or another and keep it under that 250.
Gotcha.
I'm a
Any
big
other
fan of the
questions?
program.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Any other comments or questions or for Michelle or Mr. Mallory? Well, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to enter into the CDAR investment program as outlined by the staff.
Trustee Wagner, I so move.
Trustee Olson, I second it.
Motion to approve staff entering the CDAR's program made by trustee Wagner and supported by trustee Olson. Here are no further questions or comments. The roll call vote. Trustee Reister,
Yes.
trustee Merrill,
Yes.
trustee Olson,
Yes.
trustee Holmes,
Yes.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
President Pro Temp Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes,
The motion passes.
motion passes. So we have a CDAR investment program in effect. We have the 2021-2022 budget for roads in front of us. That was a good read. Jim, I'm sure this took the staff quite a bit of time to look at it. I appreciate, Randy and DPW and all that you do, keeping an eye on all the roads. And we usually see the ones that affect us individually the most and don't see the whole community. So I know this was a real joint effort in putting the monies together, but I trust everyone's had an opportunity to review what he's put forth and understand what the Act 51 refers to and how that money gets to us. Jim, if you'd like to have some discussion.
Yeah, I think on just a real highlighted summary of it, a lot of these roads are in areas that are not being done of the infrastructure project, however, filling gaps to get our downtown a complete new look. So you'll see a short section of Washington Street, short section of Main Street, the alley behind the church agency and in the hideaway, as well as Prairie going to the village limits. So really we've looked at and we've built up on this. Again, one of the things in talking to Randy and getting other opinions is these plans are 2 and 3 years out. And I wanted to highlight, though not this year, we are looking at completely making an investment in W Avenue or Highway Street from village limit to village limit next year, no later than 2023. So we also want to have those cash funds in hand. The proposal in front of you tonight, I'll conclude with, uses state money provided to the village for roads. So we're not using general fund tax dollars on this project. And it'll be paid for with plenty of money in those accounts. I think I'd like to take this time to always highlight and reinforce, we have 7 different revenue streams within the village, and it is our goal, and specifically now stated in that fund policy, the last revenue stream we want to use is that general fund tax dollars. So we're protecting that here as well. So be happy to answer any questions, but from a high altitude, condition of roads, and also to fill in those spots within this project. I also, within the document that is part of the agenda on our website, I did list off the roads that are going to be completely new within the infrastructure project. So in the overall concept, the village is investing well about $600,000 into road work this fiscal year.
I have one thing.
Sure.
In 2018, you listed things that had been done. And actually South Street, originally you were going to do just west of Michigan to the dead end. But actually the entire South Street was done because you had some extra, something happened where you were able to do that. Now the street doesn't look great now, but it was done at that time. From Kalamazoo Avenue all the way to the dead end, South
Okay.
Street.
We'll make that note, and I'll make sure that that is on the document as well. I will let you know, the one thing we utilized was a change order within the contract, because this company was doing all the roads for the infrastructure. So they originally bid with as a subcontractor on that project. What the village is saving by doing a change order and keeping with that is we're saving a mobilization fee of about, it'd be in the over $10,000 in bringing that type of equipment into the village to do the work we're proposing, since it's already here. The other is all the roads will be done at once. Attempting to go out to bid and then dictate the schedule of these smaller sections of roads to match what's going on in the infrastructure. It was my decision that this would be the better way to go and just utilize Reef Riley in the change order situation.
We also had to have part of our street, Michigan, dug up just north of me. And there's a pretty big divot in the ground now. I'm sure there's something in the works to repair that.
I think, and Randy can confirm, but I believe that was a private thing going in, so they're going to be responsible to ensure that was in the shape that it was prior to their digging.
Really?
If I can step in on that real fast,
Please.
Denise actually contacted consumers, and they are coming down here, and it will not be maybe a couple days, and they are going to address that problem and bring it back to normal.
Great. Thank you, Randy.
The one thing is on that, it just prompts, because we all have been asked a question, the Kalamazoo Avenue section impacted by the sewers last fall after the asphalt plants had closed are part of this. So that's very small section will get done as well. I know people have been patient, but that is part of this as well.
Great.
Yeah, I read that in there. So Joe, I had a couple of, one is a, 5,000 foot view of this from Act 51. Are communities and municipalities like ours given a percentage of that money from the state, or do we apply for specific?
No, it's automatically, it's an amount automatically computed in based on your number of miles. We have 21.3 or 21.7 miles in the village. to round it off, 7 miles are major streets and 14 are local streets. We get a lot more money for the major streets. Basically, trucks can ride on those streets, and other factors might involve, but it's usage of the road. So sometimes on local streets, we'll have to save up a couple years. If you remember, we did the entire neighborhood south of the high school. We took about 3 years. We knew we were going to come into that project, wanted to impact that neighborhood in a positive manner. Instead of piecemealing streets, just do it all at once. So that was a strategy we utilized there. But it's an automatic formula calculated by the states based on that breakdown of local and major roads.
So you answered my second question, is that they are specific to major and local, so we can't pull from a major fund if we don't need it for the local fund. We have to budget it accordingly year by year.
Right. I have not participated in, there might be again an outlying example we come up with that it could be ask the state and put a formal request in, but it would ultimately require their approval to do something like that.
Thank you. Like I said, I appreciate you laying it all out like this in black and white, what streets we're going to do. Very well written, and I appreciate the, looking forward like this. And so are there other questions for the staff on the road budget?
And if I can, this, we're now beginning council meetings where we're piecemealing the 21-22 fiscal year. So we're looking for approval for me to enter into this contract with Reeve Riley. But so our public's and everyone's on the same page, the work will not be initiated until sometime after July 1st, because it's part of the 21-22 fiscal year. And Reeve Riley is aware of that as well.
Well, is this something we need to vote on when we do our budget, or do you want it voted on?
No, it's only a 15-day bid, or the quote's only good for 15 days. So I'm asking for approval from the council so I can enter the contract. It'll still be listed within the overall budget presented June 28th. Won't be going into any details on it because that's been covered here tonight along verbally and in that.
Yeah.
In the same,
he said he had to do a change order with them, so that's why they're here currently. So
well, and it
we
makes
waited
sense
until
to lock in now. Why should we wait to watch the materials go up even more through the summer? So.
Yep.
Well, so there's no other further questions, and entertain a motion to approve 2021 full year budget for the roads. Total investment of $221,291.54.
So moved.
Moved by Gail, supported by
Trustee Keller support.
Trustee Reister makes the motion for the village to approve the village manager to enter into this contract with Reeve Riley, supported by Trustee Keller. Hearing no other questions or comments, roll call. Trustee Olson.
Yes.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Holmes.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Merrill. Trustee Merrill's affirmatively nodding yes, I believe.
Yes.
She was.
now you're going no, which is
We'll come back. We need a verbal affirmative. President Pro Temp Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
yes.
Trustee Merrill, can you hear us?
I'm
Say it quick.
Yeah. Say yes.
offering
She can.
I'm missing a lot.
Say yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm going to record trustee Merrill as not voting due to computer
Technical.
issues. The motion passes 6-0 with a non-recorded vote due to electronics.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Mhm.
So we have in front of us 21-22 full year budget for non-motorized trail, W Avenue. So
Yeah, I wanted to, if I can, Mr. Frisbee, highlight, I started a process, as I informed the council, I would, on Tuesday nights, specific areas of the village, especially those that are organized, uh, with a series of Zoom calls that citizens can participate in and provide input on what they think village priorities should be, where they'd like to see improvement made throughout the village. I have had one of those. I have 3 more scheduled the next 3 Tuesdays. So you'll see some of that influence as we chart out the overall fiscal budget, as well as gaining input from the Planning Commission, Parks and Rec, Historical Society, and other individual members, including the business community. And I think this is another note. We started back in 2017 recognizing what is far more than a sidewalk. It's truly a non-motorized trail coming from CB McDonald Way into our village. Connects basically to the bridge, and once people cross that bridge, they come through golf course, cart path up to the parking lot in a safe manner, and then catch a asphalted section of a trail from that exit way of the condos out by the sled hill. In 2017, we utilized some of the millings from our roads to firm up that trail between CB McDonald Way and the bridge. We did that same thing again in the fall of 2018 with the full intention of having it ultimately be asphalt, but we knew the base needed to be built up and put in. Thus, ultimately, those investments got us to this point where we are recommending the approval. Let me make sure I'm looking at the approval from Wyoming to have the village manager enter a contract with Wyoming Asphalt Paving Company in an amount not to exceed $61,000. That amount has an estimate variable in it of additional millings at $25 per ton of millings, which that is built in there at the tune of $7,700 cushion for that. But I think it will be a good addition. Certainly was advocated by citizen comments in my first, which 23 citizens participated in. And we were able to identify and secure Act 51 dollars to utilize it since it is a non-motorized trail. I'd be happy
I
to
would
answer any
like to,
questions.
I would like to just say that I think it's an excellent idea. This summer, when I couldn't go to the gym, I used to walk that, and the part that had the broken up Tarvey, I guess, I think it was broken up road, old road stuff. And that was a little hard to walk on. So it would be really great to have a nice smooth surface to walk. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, what we did, so we first evaluated with all the millings we're going to generate. Do we take another season of millings, hard compact it down in prep? But once we started evaluating the position we're in with balances, we felt that to get this project done this year, we did elect to go with a 3-inch base versus anything less, because the 3-year has a historical track record on those type of situations of having a 20+ year lifespan. So looking forward to it, actually.
Jim, the path that's comes from the cemetery over to the entrance to Angels Crossing, that has gotten very broken up and there are weeds coming up through. Is anything going to be done with that portion at all?
Yeah, all the trimming's gonna come back and DPW is gonna kill all the weeds. We had the asphalt person come down and evaluated that was good and not to make the investment there right now. The evaluation was to appropriately kill the weeds that are causing that. If we need to, in the spots that have larger openings, if they exist after the weeds are dead, DPW will put in hot patch to fill those
Great.
spots in.
Thank you.
The big difference between the two sections, so people are aware, that section is an asphalted section where the other section was just millings.
Mr. Mallory, if I could, just wanted to share that the Homeowners Association meeting was actually in my neighborhood, full disclosure. And Jim actually there's some challenges because unfortunately 15 years ago when this neighborhood was built, there was some verbal commitments given by the previous village manager. And rightfully so, Jim pointed out some of them were unfortunately ones that we couldn't do the village because I would say right on the edge of legality, some of them. But the bottom line is this though, and that is to me, this is a perfect example of how this village listens to its citizens. I mean, as Jim said, there's a large number of people there. This neighborhood forego sidewalks. Many people aren't aware of that. We had to choose between sidewalks or a trail. We chose the trail. And so from my perspective, what we're doing is a commitment by the village to fulfill its obligation to this neighborhood that is part of the village. So as a resident here, I wanted to thank the village and also for Jim for attending and I think listening very attentively to some of the questions that were being asked.
Yeah, I agree with Rick's comments, all of them. I just wanted to clarify the edge of the law that it was on the wrong edge back in 2009. So, and it does make it, I've adjusted in the over course of 5 years running into these situations, but as the council is well aware, but our public should be well aware, Jim Mallory cannot enter into any contract above $5,000, nor could any previous village manager. It's spelled out in ordinances, it's spelled out in the law. So when we hear that, verbal contracts, I can't enter into a verbal contract. I do, I think communication always can be improved and follow up. And some of that communication, I wish I would have done better in 2017 and 18, if I knew Zoom was around then, was to have those type of conversations with an entire neighborhood, explain, hey, we are making this investment that hopefully within 5 years to get to that asphalt. But frankly, this village couldn't have afforded $60,000 in 2017 or 18 to do this project. So I appreciate their patience and I like to look forward now instead of backwards because I think we really got some good things going.
Jim, you've got other meetings coming up. What neighborhoods are those with and when are they? What time of the day?
I believe tomorrow night is with your neighborhood.
Okay.
That they're going to post out. The following week is with the condo association up at Angels. And then I think it is the 18th with the Centennial neighborhood.
Okay.
Parallel in all this are all these other contacts. Alex Lee overseeing surveys, going to every business within the village and having some coffee hours with other individuals to get their opinions. But this is a new aspect that something, frankly, at my age, I learned through COVID and all these Zoom meetings. Why not do a whole neighborhood? And we survived the first one. We'll see how the next three go.
What time of the day is that?
7 o'clock at night.
7. Thank you. I'll try and sit in.
Are those meetings posted on the village webpage?
No.
Denny would need to get
I'm,
invited.
I'm, all of them have private Facebook pages. So we're
Yeah.
utilizing that, and we wanted it specific to the geographical area of the village. Plus, it's not a council meeting, and I wanted to avoid quorums and that. It was their citizens input to have with I have no problem if a council member sits in it. We wouldn't have a quorum present though. It's just using the technology of today to allow citizens to have input. And I foresee actually utilizing this a lot more in just explaining projects. And once we get closer to downtown, we're going to have bi-weekly ones with the business owners and communities where we give them verbal updates. It's recorded on Zoom. We can put it on our YouTube page so people can look at it. So that's how it came about.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from Manager Mallory? I'd entertain a motion to move in, the staff to move into an agreement with Wyoming Asphalt and the 21-22 full year budget for the non-motorized trail on W Avenue.
Jim, should I abstain from this considering that I live in the neighborhood? Or
No, you should not abstain. There's no reason
Okay.
for that.
Okay.
And I think it should be clear on that point. This is no really that all of us in the village benefit by this. And it's
Absolutely.
village property. It's a village non-motorized trail. And we want everyone in the village to utilize it. And we'd hope someday there'd be a trail going all the way to Three Rivers and keep people biking everywhere. But yeah, no.
It's a really lovely trail to walk too. It's very nice. I really enjoyed doing that.
You'd only need to abstain, Rick, if you were owner of Wyoming Asphalt, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe one day.
Entertain a motion.
Trustee Wagner, so
So
moved.
moved.
There you go.
I heard Trustee Wagner making the motion. I think a voice behind him was Trustee Keller. Was that a support from you?
Sure, yes.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further questions or comments, we'll do a roll call vote for the village manager to be approved to enter a contract not to exceed $61,000 with Wyoming Asphalt Paving Company. Trustee Olson,
Yes.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Holmes,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Merrill,
He's trying.
Yes.
Hey, success.
President Pro Temp Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes.
The
So
last,
we come to our last social district rules update. We had one of our residents last meeting speak to requesting no smoking in the common area during social district hours. Want to open that up for discussion. I know I have something to say about it. So.
yeah, I think it's, appreciate the comments from at the last meeting for sure, but staff has also received these comments in the past as it relates to smoking in downtown. Probably something we overlooked when we initially set up the rules. I did get with Andrew Horn, and we can add them. That's why we made the decision to put those on the council agenda tonight. It's just that one line that we highlighted for the agenda that the smoking would not be allowed in the social district during social district hours. I wanted to add as well, I've made contact with all 5 businesses that participate in our social district, and all 5 business owners support this rule as well. So individuals know it is a state law that smoking cannot be within 25 feet of the entry exit point of a licensed liquor establishment. So I'll be happy to answer any questions or listen to the comments from the council.
I was thrilled that that was in there. So thank you.
Well, from that very statement, Jim, the Michigan state already has guidelines. You know, the last thing I want to do is start being a nanny state. And, you know, being a former smoker and the one who occasionally enjoys a cigar, I have a problem with being told what I can do. Now we're giving this opportunity to people. We're allowing people to drink outdoors, but now we're trying to take away the rights of a smoker that may not even have anything to do with the social district. He's just going down to the hardware. He's going to have a smoke with his friend. And all of a sudden we're going to mandate that there's no smoking in that area. I think the state clearly has guidelines. I don't think we need to overrule them and jump into this, because it's going to affect everything. It's not going to affect the liquor owner in front of his building, which we see that going on as it is all the time. It affects all the businesses, everything in that encompassing district.
Yeah, I think as we wrote and looked at it, it was, in my conversations, even with all 5 businesses, we're looking at where would a designated smoking area be. This being a rule would give them the ability to have influence on those customers, to move them in areas that would not impact citizens impacted by secondhand smoke, whether it's second story, people with downtown living. We're looking at in the future that could come in. I don't know if it'll come in front of the council, but we've priced out individual owners of businesses, what their cost would be to bring in when we put the new water main downtown, to bring in inlets off that water main that would supply sprinklers to ultimately develop more second floor living downtown when we're trying to project out. So this is, you know, that's where I say I'll sit back and listen to the council on the feelings of the council.
Hey, Jim, it's Rick. If I could add just a comment, and I appreciate and understand as a non-smoker why some would value the social district being designated non-smoking. My only question is this the appropriate time to make this announcement? We're just starting to get a social district going, and at the same time, we're about to make a decision that can alienate about 18% of potential attendees, which is a number of adults who smoke in Michigan, according to the CDC. This potentially, the impacts alienating smokers actually doubles when taking into account a study that indicates 37% of adults who consume alcohol also smoke. I'm not sure if it might be a more measured approach, really, for us to first work with the businesses to enforce that 25-foot smoke-free area. This would most likely resolve the immediate issue of secondhand smoke that was raised recently by a village resident, while at the same time enabling businesses to identify areas where their patrons could smoke. This approach would seem to be measured. And if a problem continues, well, then, you know, then we can enact it. My own humble opinion is, I just think we're looking for a problem that may or may not be there, and there might be easier ways to handle this with initial or current laws.
If I can jump in, has anybody observed how the social district is operating currently since we've opened it? I mean, is anybody?
Yeah,
I have not.
I was down there Saturday for the first couple hours. I also spoke to the 5 business owners about how Saturday went and the weekend. All 5 were very, very positive of the social district, felt it had a positive impact. And as I said, I specifically spent more time talking about this rule, and all 4 out of the 5 energetically supported it. The 5th talked, you know, more on the self-policing aspect what that might entail, but did support the rule ultimately. But 4 of the 5 rather, I mean, immediately and rather strongly supported it.
Well, I guess the big question I have, I know when the Lions Club, when we have our summer festival, I mean, we have no smoking underneath the pavilion area and underneath the tent. And we try to police it the best we can. Now, if somebody's smoking outside of the tent, we try to discourage them, but it happens. I know currently, like the old car festival, I don't ever really remember seeing people walking downtown with a cigarette.
Right.
While they're, I mean, maybe I just didn't notice it, but
Yeah, I think one thing that's not clear, the last comments I have, just so everyone's aware, with the establishments, there were identified areas that patrons could smoke that are outside of the social district, near each of the 5 establishments. So it in Vickers already has a designated area that's outside of the social district. Distant Whistle would be more on the backside of the parking lot. Main Street on the backside by the parking lot, Hideaway in the alley, and Jasper's outside of Liberty Lane East, kind of in that alley. But I'm going to leave it at, I mean, the council sets policy, so we're going to support what the council decides. So I'll answer any specific questions, but I did want to make that point. Now I'll just sit back and listen.
Well, here's another scenario. We have people that are alcoholics, and from that, their one vice in their life is smoking cigarettes. And they're going to attend an AA meeting, and they like to go out and have a cigarette. And what is going to happen when you do it during the social district hours? I think we're trying to impose rules. We're a little too deep on this one without having any kind of history on it. And I just don't really think we're in a position to mandate what people can do and can't. We're giving people an opportunity to social district. Let's see what happens from there and deal with it as it comes up.
I'm inclined myself to maybe table this for a future date, and let's get some more information on how this is playing out. This district's only been open for how long?
2 days.
Just this past weekend was when it started.
So we have a small sample size of how this has been working. I would like to wait until maybe July or August to then maybe revisit this to see how things have been going, because I mean, I know Chief Sanderson, his group have been downtown, they're watching things, they'll know whether it's a problem or not. I tend to agree a little bit with what Rick has said and what Tim has said, that I'm not saying we shouldn't do this, but we're just starting to crawl with this thing. Let's kind of wait and see how this impacts everything before we put a restriction on.
I have some question. I know that Kalamazoo does this. They have a social district like this. Do they allow smoking?
There's multiple ones that don't. That was my question to Andrew Horn. And he didn't list them specifically. He just answered there are multiple ones that don't allow it, and that the rule could be put in place. That's how he answered, but I didn't ask which ones specifically have it or not.
Well, I think it would, maybe Carl has a good idea in that we might want to, since we just started the social district, maybe we should look into some of the other social districts and how they handle either no smoking or smoking, whatever, and how it's worked out. I don't know. I am very much against the smoking, but I see the other points too. And so I had somebody that I love very much that died from smoking. So I I just have to be against it, but I do understand the other side of it, so. But
We
maybe,
can by rule table, but we'll have to make a vote on it in the next meeting. So you can't table that type of thing. Eventually you have to vote on it. So we can officially table till our next council meeting. I believe if there's a motion and a second to that, we can do it, or we can vote on this change in plans as is presented now.
I've just got one quick comment I'd like to get in. I don't think that anyone on this council is against civility and respect and those types of things. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish, I feel, is that we're really trying to take into account the visitors that we want to bring into the social district. We want to account for the residents and their quality of life. So it's a complex issue. It's a lot more that we actually need to put thought and energy and time and data into, is what I'm hearing. And I'd say, I mean, I'm supportive of that. We really want to not make a quick decision on something that's so new.
Do we think 2 more weeks would give us that time to gain that, or should we just make a vote on it? And then we will address it if it ever needs to be addressed again.
I see what you're saying, Rick. In other words, vote on this, either pass it or don't pass it, and then live with it. See once what happens, and if it creates a big problem, we can come back and revisit it.
Yeah,
That makes sense to me.
It doesn't pass. If it passes, then it passes. But if it doesn't
Yeah.
pass, then, you know, let's, it sounds like everyone's open to talking about this, which is what we should be doing. We should be talking about issues just like this. So I don't have a problem voting on it.
Well, let's do this. Go ahead, Carl.
I was gonna say, I myself, I mean, I like to have a cigar like Jim said. And I would not consciously walk down to the distant whistle, say, and have a cigar while I'm walking. Number one, you can't finish a cigar in that short a walk, so it's kind of a waste. But I understand people, if they're walking from the highway to the distant whistle and they want to have a smoke as they're going between the two of them. I get that too. I don't encourage it, but I get it. You know, I don't know.
It is hard. It's a hard one. I mean, I have a very specific reason why I feel the way that I do, but I see both sides of it. I don't know.
It's an issue that's been pressing in our social communities for how many years now? I mean, probably most of my lifetime. You know, it's been a battle between do I do or do I don't. I just feel as if we just have to find a happy medium, but we can't be forcing down our views on others like that. We have to see what happens. So I would request that I'll table this until next meeting. We'll see and learn what we can, and we'll make a vote on it next time. And if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And as temperaments change, as the community evolves and this district evolves, then we address it and make decisions from there.
Would 2 weeks be enough time, Jim, for people to check to see what the other districts are doing around us?
Yeah, I can check that. That is it can be accomplished. I'm not sure what other data I could collect.
Well, I was thinking if you checked with Kalamazoo, I mean, they've been up and running now for a while. Check to see if they allow smoking in their district and how it's going.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Just one comment. I really respect all the comments that were said, Gail, especially yours, and I wasn't aware of that, and I'm sorry. The one thing that I also personally feel, it's not our job to legislate morality. Tobacco is a legal product, folks, as far as I know, just like chewing gum is and beer. You have to be a certain age to buy it. What we're trying to do is identify when and where it can be used. But as far as making decisions from a moral standard, I'll speak for myself. I'm not going to do that. I'm simply going to decide, as it relates to the social district, what is in the best interest of the village and what the intent is of the social district and what we're trying to do with it. And that's why I humbly say that my position, as I stated, is I think we're just a little bit too early in this process. I'm not even sure if 2 weeks gives us even more data, but I'll let's see. And please feel free to share information with me if you have other opinions, or if you see something differently than I do. I'd appreciate it.
You are the professional in this. Do we have to have a motion to table this discussion? So I'd entertain a motion to table this to the next meeting.
Trustee Keller, so moved.
Trustee Keller moved.
Trustee Reister, second.
And this is just voting to table it till the next meeting, so.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, I was just pulled out a rules thing to make sure that it. I'll follow up if it does. There are some incidents that wouldn't require it, but we'll go with Trustee Keller making the motion, supported by Trustee Reister, and a roll call vote to table this item until May 17th, when staff can present examples and information from municipalities that have this similar type rule of no smoking.
I think that would be extremely helpful. I really do. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
And the roll call vote, Trustee Olson,
Yes.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Holmes,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Merrill.
He's trying.
Well, okay, if no one talks, I think she'll get in, because I think she said no.
I was ready to say, I'm outvoted.
I still need to record a vote. You're absolutely within your rights to vote no.
So you're voting no, right? Raise your thumb if you're voting no.
That doesn't count.
I'm voting.
That does not count. I need,
Does not
if
count.
no one talks, she'll get through.
I was, my internet's unstable. I a little bit of a walk and leave the beer on the table, but they might get roofied.
Okay, can we, do you vote yes to table the motion or no to not?
I'm voting no. I was ready to vote for no smoking.
Okay. President Pro Temp Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee,
Yes.
the motion to table for 2 weeks passes 6-1. Yeah.
So that brings us to Mallory's Village Report.
Yes, we have a few items. One is on the infrastructure project, as Trustee Keller can confirm. The sewer is down Prairie Street to Wilson. We are, just to remind everyone, on Prairie Street, we're replacing a 1935 lead water main, updating that and getting all the residences on the appropriate 10-inch water main without any lead into the house. So we'll meet tomorrow at 10 a.m. With the contractor and engineers. As of last Tuesday, we're 7 to 8 days behind schedule, but since we've gotten south of the railroad tracks, we're on time from that point. So they also pulverized a little bit of Prairie Street, because we're going to leave that in place when we put the top layer of asphalt on. Randy, as he said, spends multiple hours each day. This morning was down in the area of Spruce Street and that, and you're dealing with valves that are decades old, and so we found some that will need to be replaced and updated, along with possibly a couple line stops. Everything anticipated, expected, talked about, and planned for as we move forward. We also have DPW making contacts with the individuals that began last week that I think we identified 2 full blocks of Spruce Street, the 300 and 400 block, that will be redoing water lines into their houses upon their consent. And we'll be confirming the 500 block, the pipe changed to the 1970s. And right now, everything's indicating those won't need to be changed. So I'll pause there if anyone has any comments reference the infrastructure project that's going on.
How far have they been progressing? What do they think they'll average in feet per day?
They're happy with 100 feet and 100 feet and is static at 125.
And the area of the lead pipe, was it on Spruce? How many homes were?
There, while there's, whether it's galvanized or lead, but there was about, I think, 11 or 12 houses. It was a full 300 and 400 blocks of that street.
Doesn't surprise me.
The main water line there dates back decades before the 70s. At the 500 block in the late 70s, that was updated. So it appears that in the 500 block, it starts to hit all copper. So we're going to check the interiors of homes with consent just to confirm that. On other sections, we discussed on Prairie Street, we're going to spot check under a formula provided by the state. And then after we get that data, we'll determine whether we check further or we're confident that all of those are copper as well. So also at tomorrow's 10 o'clock meeting, early last week set, so Skip Knowles will be at the meeting tomorrow, and we'll have a discussion reference the car show and that at tomorrow's 10 o'clock meeting. I did have I did want to highlight reference volunteering for the village, that the council does have a policy that if any individual or group wanted to do volunteer work inside of the village, that we do have a form that they would be required to sign, and that if any individual or group wanted to have a volunteer type project, that those approvals need to come through Village Hall. There was some very positive discussion on Facebook reference future projects, and it did garner some quick momentum. And I have talked to the person who had that post. It was a positive conversation, I felt, and we've exchanged. I look forward to that group supplying a kind of a detailed scope of work as we move forward. So I wanted to bring the council up to that, and also look forward. I know the Lions Club did a lot of work this weekend in the historic village and Sunset Park, and we always appreciate that. We are going to open Village Hall tomorrow morning, so we are looking forward to that. There will be some constraints, obviously due to space, but basically one person inside. We have benches outside for 2. Person coming inside has to be appropriately masked up in that. And we have all the COVID protocols put in place, but it's I don't know if determine a milestone, but moving in a positive direction to have the open sign facing the public and that. So the other thing I wanted to bring the council into aware is there are believe it's 8. I'll have a full report on May 17th. I'm just going to check one quick email if I have the exact number, but the number of individuals I'm talking about, 7 or 8, have not paid their utility bills, not $1, since previous to January 1 of 2020.
Oh.
I'll give a full report on the 17th. These individuals, we have sent at least 5 separate communications to, including 2 certified letters. We'll have staff make contact between now and May 17th. But the state legislature lifted the moratorium on utility shutoffs. The state law and our village ordinance require us, they do not give us an option, that we will be shutting these services off on May 18th. I wanted the council to be aware of the many months, going back over a year, of constant communication with individuals. And then specific to these remaining individuals who, again, have not paid in the last 17 months, including those certified letters and numerous phone attempts, conversations, and ultimately in the next 2 weeks, multiple attempts by staff to knock on their doors. But they're well aware of the consequences on May 18th. We hope that they contact us, and hopefully we can work with them. And I want to give you a heads up, on the 17th, I'll give you a full report of what those final numbers shake out. But it is our goal to get them all in a position of being paid. We have no joy in shutting off someone's utility work. We have multiple examples over the past year and a half and prior to COVID of working with individuals to get community and county and state resources to help them out. But when individuals elect not, and there's a couple on there that certainly know and know government well, but they elect to not make contact, we have no choice in the matter but to follow the law. The last information, we talked a little bit about it. I just wanted to highlight the positiveness of the social district. Some of the observations, very interesting. I've had conversations with 2 specific municipal leaders on how their social district is going, bigger municipalities, and it mirrored, their comments mirrored what my own observations were. It was what I saw, younger couples with small kids in Oswalt Park sitting on picnic tables enjoying a beverage from the Hideaway, a different group enjoying beverages from the Distant Whistle in the appropriate cups. Seemed to have a good time. There was no report at all from officers of any type of negative interactions or situations. So I thought from not only the business owners, but from our vantage point, it was a positive opening day. And I think it'll have a pretty positive economic impact on our village and exposure to other shops. And once that we see traffic trends, if you will, I'm talking about foot traffic, I'm sure other businesses might be encouraged to be opened up later or earlier, and as we go through this process. So those were the comments that I had, referenced my report, and be happy to answer any questions.
And Jim, Denny, how many water shutoffs are we looking at? Yeah,
7, as we stand right now, 7 or 8 that go back those 15 months. I'll have to pull up if any are 60 days late or not.
Okay, and lastly, what's the word on the wood chipper? Has it been fixed? Is it still in the shop?
No, they were working on it today, and I don't know if they got it fixed completely today, Randy, or not, but our goal is to have it in service here in a week. So Randy, do you know?
Yeah, it was almost complete today, about 3 more hours of work. He's got a class to attend tomorrow. He'll be back Wednesday morning, and it'll be back in service on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
And to correct it, there's 6 that go back to January 1st of 2020 that have not paid. Those 6 invoices together total $5,643.11. There are another 61 accounts that includes those 6, so another 55 really, that are on the shutoff list because they haven't paid in a less amount of time, but still within the parameters of being required to shut off. And that outstanding balance is $19,607 and change. Again, I'll give a detailed report, but I predict the majority of those 55 will be paid by the 17th. That is not an abnormal number in normal times. So I just given a heads up on the report that's coming in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you, Jim. Any other questions for Mr. Mallory, staff? All right, we have any committee reports?
Tim, just
Well,
real quick,
Rick Holmes.
I was just curious, Jim, are you and Alex working on the food trucks again? And is that going to be, any idea when that may be if we're doing it again?
We've advised them this year, they were looking at a month that we felt it would be impacted by the downtowns. So I will turn over to Alex, but I believe they've made an arrangement with Paper City to utilize their property. But Alex, can you?
Yes, my last discussion with John Kern was that they were working with the food trucks to bring them in for 4 or 5 visits. They will have them on the mill property. And I have pledged the village's support in terms of marketing and supporting those efforts. But we felt the downtown construction, all of the equipment around town, you know, we had such a successful event the first time we did it. I didn't want to have a less than stellar event. So Jim and I had that discussion and agreed the right time to bring them back is when the new streetscapes are in place. But we're very happy that Paper City is stepping up, so it will be an option for our residents, and we will support them every way we can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Alex. Barring no other questions, we have a committee report? Denny, do we have any?
We got a meeting coming up. South County Fire Authority voted to let Virginia use the fire station #1 in Schoolcraft for voting. I went over this afternoon and helped Chief McMillan and the battalion chief over there help set it up. So they're all set to go, but I would like to have Mr. Mallory sit in on the next fire meeting, Fire Authority meeting if possible. And that should be in about 2 weeks. So other than that, that's pretty much it.
Right, well, you'll just ask Jim on the side if you
Yeah, we'll
give him a little backstory as to why. And
no, I've discussed it with Jim several times, so it's
all
just,
right,
yeah.
all right, thanks. Was there any other Parks and Rec or any other updates?
The planning commission's next week, Tim, nothing to report.
Right.
now. And then Parks and Rec. I guess not.
No problem.
Next 2 weeks.
That's next week. Oh, stay tuned.
On both of those committees, I have spent over majority Parks and Rec almost an hour with each member individually having input on the budget, and probably 3/4 of the planning commission with the remainder scheduled. So really there's been a lot of discussion on prepping the 21-22 fiscal year.
Good. All right. Thank you. Well, we'll go through trustees time. Denny?
Everything's pretty good. Glad to see everything's working out fine. I wish we were a little bit further ahead on the sewers and that, but I understand the slowdown. So just looking forward to when everything's nice and beautiful again. So thank you.
Yes. Ditto to that. Trustee President Pro Tem Keller?
I'm all set.
Trustee Holmes?
Just wanted to let Randy know who was responsible for that large pile of leaves over at the at Sunset Beach Park. I was part of that team that pulled out a mountain of leaves out of the lake. So you can blame us for it. But the Lions Club as usual, did a stellar job, both at the Historic Village and also the Sunset Park. It looked great after you know, the group that came in that included some citizens, as Jim referenced. So it was nice to see that kind of involvement of both the group and then also some citizens that came to help as well. So it was a good turnout. It was fun.
Trustee Reister,
All set?
trustee Wagner.
No comments this evening, Tim. Thank you.
I will ask Julie, but no, that's not Julie. She's locked up.
Bad signal.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Just a question to the team here, you know, when we're the clean, I couldn't have done it. I had a committed weekend. My youngest and his fiance bought a house. We moved them in this weekend but how do we communicate these for residents to get involved and say cleaning up the beach I mean, is there a specific, do we put it on the village Facebook page? Does it go on private Facebook pages? How do we get the residents involved, volunteering involved? How do they know what needs we have out there?
Well, on the,
Sunset Lake getting planed or the.
that was, that's organized by the Lions every year and every spring. I believe it's intended to have Lions members do a community service. And the Parks and Rec is usually, during my tenure in the village, the Parks and Rec is always involved with the Lions Club during that. When the conversations came on another Facebook page locally, when we monitor all these, we kind of steered them in that and acknowledged that communication. One of the items of social media is just getting back to the whole conversation we had in developing that volunteer policy. I even told the gentleman one of the reasons I came out of retirement to work for a small village was the community involvement. But ultimately, we have to protect the liability of the taxpayers. So though we're very encouraging of one group coming to clean a park up, we probably wouldn't be as encouraging as a group coming to cut trees down. And it could be those groups as well. That's why we're trying. The Lions Club works. We knew the Lions Club was going to do this cleanup. We were under the impression it was a community service for their membership, and the Parks and Rec was involved as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I understand what Tim is saying, though. I think that might be something we might want to look at trying to set up something where just regular folks can volunteer if they knew that something was coming up. You know, I can see what he's saying. We don't have any kind of things set up for people that might want to volunteer.
I believe we have the volunteer sign up form on our website. And
but it's nothing specific, Jim. That's what I'm saying. It
seems clicky, like.
Yeah.
The Parks and Rec director can share comments if that's okay at this moment. That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have to apologize. I've been cleaning carpets all day.
It's okay.
So prior to COVID, I had very good meetings with Katie Grossman, who was volunteering the Lions for coordinating community days. And our intention at that time was to do twice a year community wide cleanups and have some sort of well-established scheduled coordinated efforts with the list of different parks that we would like to clean up and tasks that we wanted to tackle. We had planned on doing it last year. The few years that we were able to do it before COVID, we had Boy Scouts, NHS, Aim High, Lions Club, and Parks and Recs all were part of this. But because of COVID, we felt that it wasn't safe for us to go out.
Right.
And we couldn't get people to respond anyway at that time. They were unsure about coming out. So the plan is, and I know that many members, Mr. Mallory has talked about meeting with Parks and Rec, and I think all of us individually had said the same thing, that we would like to, once COVID is passed, we wanted it to reenact that sort of community pride in parks and have a very well organized, where we reach out in a very detailed, communicated overall plan with specific items that we wanted to tackle twice a year. So
That sounds good.
it wasn't on our radar. It was just the fact that with COVID, it kind of put it
Okay.
on the back burner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I understand that. And I think one of the things you have to remember, like if you're wanting to get volunteers, not all of us do Facebook and Twitter and that kind of stuff.
we
So you
talked
have
about
to,
posters,
Okay.
including it in the village newsletter. So
There you
this
go.
was the plan. We were ready to go. Unfortunately,
right.
COVID said, not this year. Parks and
Yeah.
Rec.
all right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, COVID changed a lot of things that we've done normally. So, all right, excellent. And thanks, Rick, for sharing your cleaner with us. Appreciate that.
Tim, I hate to point this out, but I see John Gessler's got his hand up, or is he?
Oh,
No, I'm sorry.
The council meeting is not structured to take questions at the end. If you want to open up the question, then you're going to open them up to everyone on the call.
And I understand.
I've communicated with Mr. Gissler that fact.
Okay.
He's understood it and responded to me that he understands that.
Okay.
yeah, all right.
One
Thank
other
you.
thing I'd like to point out is that Lawton, Michigan, they have, I think it's the first Saturday of the month, every month, they have volunteers go in and totally clean up the downtown. I never realized this until I saw it, and they wash down the sidewalks, they sweep everything, they trim it up, and so we might want to take a look at doing it, something like that once a month. So, but
That's
I
it.
was very impressed by the people that turned out.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah.
That was Lawton, you said?
Yeah.
City of Lawton?
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
my aunt used to have a shop there, and so I used to go through town all the time, so.
Nice. All right. Well, I just had just a real quick comment. The Michigan House has got a House Bill 4722, and it is advancing the short-term rentals. So this has been something that's been stewing since 2018. And the MML has adamantly gone against this the way it's written. It is not in the best interest of communities as municipalities as they see it. So I would encourage all to look at the Michigan House Bill 4722. I know we had some discussions early on about being preemptive on the short-term rentals in the village as this community evolves. So you may want to take a close look at that and reach out to your representatives and let your opinion be known on that. So the latest update from the CARES Act, I believe that was the last $1.9 trillion that went through the feds. There was some discrepancy in the way the wording was for municipalities. We have been assured that villages are in this. It won't be just the counties or cities. All villages are encompassing and will have a percentage based on capita, I believe. So that's good news. It'll by the end of next week, it should be some revised wording coming out on that. That was some good information I heard just today from the MML. So that was all I had, barring any last minute questions or statements. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Support.
And yeah, moved by Gail and seconded by Trustee Wagner.
You can do a voice, all in favor can say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
The only word she gets to say. All right. Well, thank you all for attending and look forward to some further discussion and in our next meeting.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good.
You.
And
Thank
if
Thanks.
Alex and Tim can stick around, Jeff Ritzmus on the call, so. Bring Jeff in.